Cigar Talk, the fastest growing cigar show in the nation. Whether you're a new cigar enthusiast or a cigar aficionado, we have something for everyone. Bringing you the best interviews, cigar reviews, and weekly giveaways. So grab yourself a cigar.
It's time to light 'em up.
Hey, welcome back to Cigar Talk. I'm your host, Rob Jones, and we have a special guest host with us today, Mr. Paul from the 5150 Cigar Tours. How you doing today, Paul?
I'm doing great, Rob.
Hey, man, we're glad to have you here. And I know you just got back from San Antonio not long ago, so I assume that you were down there doing part of the 5150 Cigar Tour.
Yeah, I got a chance to, when I wasn't just hanging out on the Riverwalk, I did get around to a couple shops.
Cool, man. Tell us about what shops you went to.
Well, I went to Club Humidor over on San Pedro. They've recently remodeled it. It's man, I tell you what, it's a fantastic shop. The local people were great, very inviting. Picked me up a box of punch egg rolls down there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Those were great cigars.
I mean, it's good little smoke, and
it's not a Padron.
No.
But for $4.
For less than $4.
Yeah. Well, you bought a box. So
I bought a box, and I got the discount and the military discount, and so it's good little smoke. Still got a few left, believe it or not.
Oh, no kidding. That's a shocker to me that you have some left. I mean, you have been back for 2 weeks.
Yes. Well, you know me, a box is like 4 days.
Right. So. That's why I'm like, wow. Now, tell us about the shop. Where was it located? Was it close to the Riverwalk?
No, the one on San Pedro is right off of 410.
Okay.
So you just jog on over on 283, 410 from the Riverwalk, and it's just a couple blocks over.
Okay.
And nice shop. They've just recently remodeled.
Nice lounge area.
Oh yeah, plenty of seating.
Nice.
They could check that out on my Instagram at 5150 Cigar Tour. I posted pictures on there.
Okay, cool, man. Well, I was down in San Antonio, I guess, about 2 years ago, and I went by Fink's. And I know you told me you went by Fink's,
yes.
But I went to a different one.
Yes.
Mine was like, man, I get all turned around in San Antonio, but mine was somewhere within probably 2 miles of the Riverwalk, and it was like an old strip mall, but I mean, it was like way back from the 50s or something. And anyway, you walk in, man, the humidor, I'm just going to guess, was like 40 by 60. It was huge.
Oh, yeah. Well, I went to the one on West Avenue, which is just a few blocks down from San Pedro. So after I left Club Humidor, I went over to Fink's. And it's in a building that looks like it was probably a doctor's office at one time.
Oh, really?
It's kind of built like a house.
That's cool.
But there's 3 rooms that are humidors.
Right.
I mean, huge. I mean, there's no cigar you probably can't find there.
Really?
I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And they have private lounge and smoked cigar there, and they also have a nice outside seating area.
Nice.
But of course, it was 97 or 8 that day, so of course I smoked inside.
Yeah. AC is a friend in Texas.
Yes.
How long ago were you down there?
2 weeks ago.
Okay, and so you went to Fink's, and you went to, what's the name of the other one?
Club Humidor.
The
one on San Pedro.
Did you go to any other ones?
I did. I went to both cigar shops down on the Riverwalk.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know they had one on the Riverwalk.
Yes, there's Del Mar, which I actually got to talk to the owner.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he was working that day, and he also owns the other one on the Riverwalk. Sorry, I can't remember the name. It's something... Texas something.
But it's owned by the same guy.
But it's owned by the same guy.
Cool.
Not a huge selection, but once again, if you're on the Riverwalk...
And you don't want to leave the Riverwalk.
You don't want to leave the Riverwalk, you can grab a good stick there.
Nice.
I mean, they had a pretty good selection for what they had.
Cool. So, I hear you're making a trip coming this weekend.
Yes, I'm going up to Dallas.
And you have a couple of shops.
I haven't picked which shops I'm going to, but I am going to hit at least 2 shops.
Cool, man.
Because I'm only going to be there for the weekend and got some other stuff going on. So.
Right. Yeah, his wife is running in a marathon.
Actually half marathon.
Half marathon. Well, I'm sure she appreciates you pointing that out.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna be smoking while she's running.
Nice.
To be honest with you.
Hey, so here's a couple of topics we're going to cover today. We're going to cover cigars on social media. We're going to cover a company that sent me some sampler pack, Nova Cigars. And then we're going to tell you about a new cigar app. It may not be new, but it's new to me. And then we'll talk something about Trump. And then we'll talk about Hiram Solomon cigars. So let's get to cigars on social media. I mean, what's your feeling about cigars on social media, Paul?
Oh, man. Well, I'm on Instagram. You're on Instagram. And I love seeing everybody's cigars. The cigar pictures on there, I mean, some of them are just really, really good. I mean, there's some really great photographers out there.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And, to think of that, most people are photographing those with their phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I photographed mine with a phone.
Yeah, same here. I haven't drugged the old DSLR out in probably over a year.
Yeah.
And even when I did, I didn't do pictures of cigars.
Right, exactly.
So, but anyway, something that I want to talk about on social media, though, is there's a lot of people who have become cigar influencers, and we recognize who they are. And we recognize that companies send out free cigars, which is cool. I mean, several companies have sent us cigars, so we're happy about that. But I wonder if there's some kind of level of disenchantment or distrust between your everyday smoker seeing the guys who get free cigars post them online.
I don't know.
Spoken like a true scholar there. Well, that's just something I've been thinking about because I see a lot of the same people posting a lot of the same cigars at the same time. You know what I mean?
That's correct.
And so it kind of tells you that, hey, man, these guys are getting cigars from companies, and that's cool, man. Don't get me wrong. I love getting free cigars.
I love when you get free cigars,
yeah,
Rob, because
I always
you always
give you
hit
some.
me up with them.
Yeah, because I share, and that's the same thing. I got lots of companies that send us some different products that's not just cigars, but like we got the silencer from a company that it's actually not a silencer, it's a cigar carry tube.
Right, you gave that away.
We gave that away. We've given away books. We've given away cutters. We've given away hats. I mean, everything that they send us.
That nice.
The travel
case,
pack.
The
yeah,
travel pack from McAuliffe. That was fantastic.
That was nice.
A nice
and
product.
then I also sent another one away from VSB from London. And so, I love getting the new stuff so I can pass it on to the listeners of the show.
Oh, and let's not forget Goodfellows.
Oh.
You gave away some Goodfellows stuff.
I gave away 2 hats that they sent me.
Yes.
Now, they did send me a sweatshirt, and I kept that because, it looked really good on me.
Yeah, that's a nice sweatshirt, by the way.
So, anyway, so let's get over to Nova Cigars. Nova Cigars has kind of like taken Instagram by storm. And I'm going to say hats off to their marketing program because other than Paul, I don't know anybody who doesn't know who Nova Cigars is.
Well, I haven't actually been on my Instagram account for about a week and a half, so I'm probably getting flogged.
You're a little bit behind.
Yeah,
You're a little bit behind.
I am.
But, and it's funny because that's about how fast it's taken off in the last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. So, but, and here's the thing. People send me cigars all the time. And if I like them, I take pictures and post them. If I don't like them, then I usually just don't say anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to bash anybody.
No.
But here's the thing. On Nova, they sent me a pack of 5 cigars, and the first one was great. The second one was really good. It was the Perfecto, almost like a flying pig shape. The ones like the undercrowns.
Yes.
So anyway, that was my favorite cigar of the batch. And then the second one, third one, I'm not sure what they were called. But anyway, they were pretty good also. And then the 5th one was, I believe it was called the Legacy. And it was plugged. And the draw was like, I tried.
Ouch.
I tried.
Ouch.
Had a vein pop out of my forehead and lost a quart of blood. But anyway, so... And I really didn't think nothing of it because, they were good cigars.
Right.
But when I posted a picture on my Instagram account of the Nova Cigars, one of the listeners to the show responded and said, there's no way those cigars are worth $30. What makes a brand new cigar company come out and think that they can charge Padron 1926 25th anniversary prices for a cigar company that no one's heard of until Instagram? And so I wanted to talk about that and see, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, You know me, Rob. I mean, I spend a lot of money on cigars, by the way.
I know you do, yes.
And but I'd have a hard time if I walked in the shop tomorrow and those cigars are sitting there and it said $30, trying it.
Right. It's a brand you don't know.
Bingo.
And the price tag, I mean, let's face it, your everyday cigar smoker, we work hard for our money. When we go splurge on a cigar, we already know what cigar we're going to splurge that kind of money on.
I know what I'm going to buy at that price point.
Right. I'm definitely, if I'm going to spend $30, I'm going to buy a 1926.
You know, that's exactly what I buy. Matter of fact, smoked one the other day.
And speaking about hype, I wanted to back up and talk about another cigar that was so much hype, and it was really, really successful. And if you're a huge fan of this cigar, you can shoot me some hate mail and, whatever. But the Andalusian Bull, super, super hype. And the thing about it is that it was very successful. And I mean, it was not a bad cigar. It was a good cigar, but it wasn't like the second coming of Jesus good. I mean, are you with me there? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, as you know, because you saw me buy the last two the shop had.
Well, and on top of that, remember you bought me one for my birthday.
I did.
And remember what I told you happened?
Yes.
It unraveled.
It unraveled on you. Happy birthday, Rob.
Thanks. That's one of those times where the thought counts. But so that's just what I wanted to point out is how much hype comes from social media.
Well, I would think, if your marketing's good, you can hype a product pretty quickly.
Right. If you get it into the hands of the right people who's going to just post it everywhere and people seeing it, and now it's kind of hard to get. And I think that's where Andalusian Bull really tipped the scales. Was because it was hyped, and then it was like, well, we can't hardly get those.
Exactly.
I mean, I had people emailing me, hey, where'd you get that?
Yeah, me too.
And,
I did too.
We were fortunate at our shop to get 5 boxes, but at the same time, because of the shortage, or at least the perception of shortage, then it was like, oh, I got to get my hands on one of those. And it was a beautiful cigar.
It's one of the most beautiful cigars ever made,
right?
I think.
I mean, the unique style and shape, the roll was really attractive, and the band was really cool. So I think they did a great job. And like I said, it was a good cigar. It just wasn't a cigar that I thought lived up to that type of hype.
I agree.
So our next subject is, there's a new cigar app. Okay, maybe it's not new, but it's new to me, and it's called the Cigar Scanner. And the cool thing about it is, you haven't seen it yet, have you, Paul?
I have not seen it.
Okay, well, the cool thing is you can basically take a picture of your cigar with the band on it, and it will identify the cigar, which, that's not a big deal because I can read the band.
Right.
But it tells you what the wrapper is, the binder, the filler. It gives you all the information that you might not know. So that's kind of cool. And then also it keeps a track of your library of cigars. You can also do an inventory of your humidor.
Well, I would have to hide the data from my wife.
Right. And then the other thing is you can rate cigars, and you can rate it, I think it has 5 different categories, which is like draw, aroma, profile, and I don't remember what the rest of them were. But anyway, it was funny to me because I was going through what other people had rated cigars, and there was a guy that had a Honey Cuban on there, and he rated it 4 stars out of 5. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I scrolled down. I was going to leave a comment because, sometimes I'm not always nice.
Right.
And I wasn't going to be ugly. I was just going to be, honest. And so anyway, he had comments in there, and it said, well, this really wasn't a very good cigar. And I was like, you rated it 4 stars. So then I did have to leave a comment.
Well,
and
of course.
I said, that the more stars is the better rating. So I probably got some hate mail in my inbox on that set.
We all need a little hate.
Right. And I'm real stringent on my ratings. I mean,
me too.
I'm smoking Roma Craft, Perdomos, my father's, and I'm giving them 3 to 4s.
Right.
And if I had a 1926 it would not get a 5.
No.
And here's the thing about that. This is what I was telling somebody else I was smoking a cigar with. If I find a cigar that's a 5-star, that's the perfect, right?
Yes.
Then I'm done.
Right.
The hunt's over.
Right, the hunt's over. There's no more to smoke.
Right. So that's just me. I was thinking, if there's a 5-star cigar, it would be great to smoke it, but then what else do you have to look forward to? Exactly. Game over.
Game over.
So anyway, let's shift gears here and talk about Trump is basically putting some heavy restrictions on being able to travel to Cuba. Now, for me, I don't know about you, but I don't have any plans on going to Cuba.
If I take a right turn from my house, it's a long way.
Right. Well, and for me, I'm not a big fan of Cuban cigars.
I'm not either, Rob, and I think you know that because we beat that subject around a little bit.
And so I've heard a lot of people complaining about the opportunity may be taken away to go to Cuba, and I'm like, so go to the Dominican Republic, go to Nicaragua, go to Honduras. These places, just like last week when we talked to Smoke and Brad, awesome places to go. They have these tobacco factories and farms that you can go visit. And, I mean, to me, that sounds like paradise.
Oh, absolutely.
So going to Cuba, it just doesn't sound that appealing to me. Now, I know some people that have gone, and they loved it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But, I mean, it's not like I'm going to be sitting around the shop complaining that I can't go to Cuba, because I probably wasn't going to go anyway.
Well, I've been to Cuba, Rob.
Oh, you have?
Yes. Unfortunately, not on the other side of Cuba.
So...
I was at Guantanamo
Bay. Yeah, okay. So there wasn't a lot of good cigars over there.
No, not at all.
So I just have to ask so people will know, were you inside the cage or outside the cage?
Well, that's a matter of opinion. There's concertina wire everywhere.
So everybody's in the cage.
Everybody's in the cage, but other people are in the cage.
I got you. Later in the show, after we talk about our new possible sponsor coming up, Bill Bender joins us, and he's going to give us the Bender Bourbon of the Week.
Oh, nice.
And I mean, if anybody knows bourbon, you know Bender knows bourbon.
Bender knows bourbon.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've seen his Instagram, but you guys got to check him out. It's Bill Bender. He's doing a show called Bender Stash, and we are just absolutely thrilled to have him on the show, giving us the bourbon of the week. So,
and Bill was on the show.
Yeah, he was
a few
on
weeks back.
Probably it's been about 2.5 months ago. Wow, time flies.
Well, I drink and I smoke.
Right.
I forget things.
In fact, when I was talking to him, we were talking about he just played golf for the first time after he injured his ankle.
Oh,
well, he injured his ankle the day of the show.
I remember that.
And he told me, he's like, man, that's been 3 months ago. And you know what was so funny is he actually tore ligaments off of his ankle, and it swelled up like a softball.
Oh, my goodness. And
I was like, dude, are you going to be able to do the show? And he was like, oh, yeah, no problem. And I was like, well, don't you think you need to go to the doctor? And he was like, nah, I'm just drinking some 140 proof.
Yeah, I was here that night when you recorded the show. Yeah.
So,
yeah, and we both looked at each other, 140 proof.
Yeah,
Holy
wow.
crap, man.
So
I use that to take paint off of cars.
Right. Oh, dude, I'm going to tell you this right quick. If you guys missed it, you really missed out. But he's a huge golf fan. He used to be a pro golfer for a little while, but he was watching the Masters. And the last day, he's a huge Tiger Woods fan. So the last day, he's watching the Masters, and he's got the video camera set up of him watching the Masters. And he's sitting there in this crazy shirt, this Bill Bender hat, and you see him eating a bowl of cereal. And then he leans forward to where you can't see the cereal, sets it down, and then he picks up an apple and looks at it and then throws it out of the room because he doesn't eat fruit. And so then he pulls up this big giant stack of pancakes. I mean, like huge, like probably like 6-7 inches tall. He takes like 2 or 3 bites of this big stack of pancakes, and then he sets that down and chases it down with a big old bourbon.
Nice. I have to see that video.
Yeah, you will. It's hilarious. So, hey, before we jump into Hiram Solomon right quick, let's talk about what we're smoking tonight.
Oh, what are we smoking?
We are smoking the Casa Fernandez Aganorsa Leaf Miami Maduro. And if you guys don't know that product, man, it's a great cigar. I've been waiting for these cigars all week. They don't carry them at my local cigar shop. I fell in love with them when I was in Lubbock, and they ran out. I actually smoked the last one in Lubbock. So I came home, talked to our shop. Hopefully we're going to start carrying them soon. But we didn't have them, so I went online and found a smoking deal on these cigars. If you're interested, shoot me a message, hit me up, and I'll turn you on to this sweet deal. It was like $80 for 25 of these bad boys. Anyway,
it's a good cigar.
It's a great
cigar. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. So anyway, and we're drinking tonight. Where's the bottle? I don't want to tell anybody wrong. We're drinking the Jim Beam Bonded. It's a 100 proof bourbon. So far, I've enjoyed it as well.
Good.
Cheers. And so anyway, we've been talking to Hiram & Solomon. They're looking at sponsoring the show, and I'm really excited about that because if we get a real sponsor, I want that sponsor to be somebody that I love their smokes.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So we've been in talks with them, and we're super excited about the possibility. And as far as their cigars go, I don't know if you've had the Traveling Man, but man, I love the Traveling Man. It's one of my favorite cigars. And I don't know if you know this, but David Blanco is actually the blender for Hiram & Solomon.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you smoke any of the Blanco cigars.
I have.
Okay, and I love his work. He makes, in fact, it was Cigar of the Week probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He makes the Liga Exclusiva for Blanco, and I just found out recently that he's the blender for the Hiram & Solomon.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's a double whammy for me.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, we're real excited about their cigars. We're big fans. And so, anyway, man, let's get to Bill Bender, and we will be right back after his interview. Hey, so it's time for Bill Bender's Bourbon of the Week. How you doing today, Bill?
Good, man. How you doing?
Man, we're doing fantastic. We're sitting on the edge of our seat waiting to hear what the bourbon of the week is.
Well, it's a good one, man. It's actually one of my personal favorites, and like all whiskey, people who love one thing, they don't like another, and then vice versa. One man's trash is another man's treasure. But the one that I want to talk about today is a bottom shelfer. It's one that you could pair with any cigar because it's not that overpowering, hazmat bourbon or any kind of whiskey. It's J.W. Dant Bottle and Bond. Bottle and Bond, J.W. Dant.
J.W. Dant. I've never had that one. I've never heard of that one.
It's like $22 bottle. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing fancy. It's just, I call it a bottom shelf whiskey, but a bourbon, but it's good. It's 100 proof. It's
Nice.
4 years old.
Nice.
Because it has to be.
Yeah.
But it's got a little bit of oak to it, and it's just a good flavor. It's not overpowering. There's not that many crazy things going on. It's just it's an everyday drinker.
Nice.
And you could pair it with any cigar you want. So you don't have to worry about it. Like, is this going to overpower the whiskey, or is this whiskey going to overpower the cigar? It's one or the other. So
nice. So you can just pour yourself a drink and fire up whatever cigar you happen to be smoking that time.
Exactly.
Well, that's awesome, man. Who makes it?
Heaven Hill, actually. It's a Heaven Hill product. And Heaven Hill's got a million different labels, like Buffalo Trace and all those giant conglomerates. But yeah, Heaven Hill makes it. It's one of their lower pours, but they have other bottled and bond stuff. So if you want to start out with like the gateway bottled and bond whiskey, it's going to be the J.W. Dant, and then they have an Evan Williams bottled and bond. It's the white label. It's 100 proof. That would be like the next step if you're going to keep it in the Heaven Hill family.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, dude, we appreciate you giving us the bourbon of the week, and just tell everybody. We love your Instagram. If you guys don't know Bill on Instagram, man, he's always entertaining us with golf stuff, liquor, booze, and cigars. So keep up the good work there, man, and we look forward to hearing what you got for us next week, brother.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, man. Take care, Bill.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Hey, just want to say thanks so much to Bill Bender for providing us the bourbon of the week. Coming up next after the break, we're going to be doing an interview with the Warfighter owners. Great company. They're a couple of vets that put together a really cool cigar. It's a good cigar. Oh, and that's also done by Blanco. He does the blending for them as well.
I did not know that.
Yeah, right. He's all over the place. He's like the
watch out, AJ.
Right. So anyway, guys, you stick with us through the break, and we will be right back. Welcome back, Cigar Talk. I'm your host, Rob Jones. We appreciate you hanging with us through the break. And now we've got the interview that we've been promising you with Warfighter Cigar founder and owners John and Scott. So let's get to it. So we've got a couple of special guests with this week. We've got John and Scott from Warfighter Tobacco Company. They make the line you've probably heard of. They're growing really fast. They're a couple of veterans, and they decided to make cigars. So we're going to have them here in the studio and get their story. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing well.
Good, man. So let's talk about how you guys got together and decided to do a line of cigars.
All right. It's kind of a little bit of a long story, but we were I was hanging out with I guess the idea came when I was hanging out with the guys from Article 15 and Ranger Up, and they made a movie called Range 15. Happened to be able to hang out on the set and film that with them, and as you know, it was a bunch of veteran-owned companies that helped out with that, and I got to meet a lot of veteran entrepreneurs and stuff, and it kind of just planted the seed in my head that, you know, I wanted a product that was a consumable that we could market and brand our own, and it was kind of like, well, what am I going to do? And it ended up being cigars. So.
Oh, that's cool. So did you smoke cigars back when you were in the military?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole, you know, where the origins of Warfighter is, you know, hey, you know, what cigar did you smoke when you were in the military? You know, most.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys, especially, you know, post 9/11, with how many you know, service members have been deployed since then, and then the percentage of those people that have had their first cigar ever when they were deployed overseas. And the majority of the times you ask, oh, what'd you smoke? What was your first cigar when you were over there? And like, oh, I got a Cuban. Like, oh, it wasn't a Cuban.
Right.
But you know, so we wanted to give a brand, you know, like, hey, what cigar did you smoke? Oh, Warfighter. You know, we wanted to give a brand that would not be forgotten amongst, you know, us. So
Yeah.
That's cool. And you guys served together.
We did, yep.
Awesome. So where did you guys go together outside the country?
So we've been to Iraq. We were there for the initial invasion in 03.
Yeah, 03, 04.
Yeah, and before that, I think we were in the Army. I was there a little bit before John, and I think you got there, what, in
2001.
Cool. So what kind of cigars do you get when you're in the military overseas?
Anything you can get?
Now you can. It's way different. Like when we were there in 2003, like we didn't really have internet.
Yeah,
We didn't have cell phones.
Really?
Cigars for Warriors didn't exist.
We didn't have any infrastructure when we were over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was like the initial invasion. Everyone, you know, now you talk to people and they're like, oh, I was on, you know, FOB this or COP that or, you know, whatever. And we were like, yeah, we took any government building we could find, and that's where we slept that night.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what year did y'all get out?
I got out at the beginning of 2007.
I got out in 05. Yeah, August 05.
Okay. And y'all were both from Nebraska?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm from Nebraska. We met in the service, and then we parted ways for a long time until our platoon started having platoon reunions, and then that's when we got hooked back up, and then at that time I owned a gun shop, and
I got drunk one night and I need to come sell guns with you.
and then I was drunk too, and then the next day we were kind of sober, and we're like, hey, were you serious? Because I'm serious, and then John showed up at SHOT Show one year and worked at the gun shop with me till Warfighter started.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
So where was the gun shop located at?
just outside of Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Like I said, I was up there 4 weeks ago and went by Paul's Cigar Lounge in Hastings, and he's the one who turned me onto your guys' product. And I was real impressed with it. I had heard about it, but I had never smoked one because I hadn't come across them. And I went in there, and I think half of his humidor is Warfighter stuff. So
Yeah.
great lounge if you get a chance to go by. Hastings, Nebraska, by the way. Paul's just a great host. His wife also is a great host, and just everybody over there is great to be around, and just a real solid cigar community. So anyway, how did you guys actually get into the cigar? I mean, it's one thing to talk about it when you're having a good drinking time one night, but how did you actually step into it?
So our other partner, Chris, him and I kind of started the company together, and I kind of had the idea. Chris had a little bit more cigar knowledge and knew a couple people in the industry, and then we made every mistake in the book to start because none of us were in the cigar industry at any point we just had zero knowledge.
Yeah.
And so we went through a middleman that got us cigars out of the Dominican just so we could kind of prove the concept, started on our own website. Once we started to have any traction and growth, the quality of the cigars kind of went away, and he couldn't keep up. We were selling them faster than our supplier. So we figured out how to cut out the middleman and go right to the factory in Nicaragua. And so now all of our cigars are Nicaraguan. And
Nice.
yeah, and we're still learning, but we're quick learners.
Learning by trial and error. I've heard several stories about people who are pretty new to the cigar business get in, and it always comes down to the middleman. You got to get rid of the middleman.
You got to get rid of the middleman. Yep.
So
Absolutely.
have you guys been down to Nicaragua?
Yes, we have.
Yep.
How was that?
It was awesome. I love Nicaragua. Went down there a couple times to do some blending and that kind of stuff. And I tell you what, if I could live in Nicaragua, I really enjoyed it. The people are good.
The food's amazing.
Food's amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what do you eat when you're down there? Just curious.
I had the best smoked chicken I've ever had in my entire life at a little Cuban restaurant in Estelí.
Yeah. Well, and like, because, the reason that the tobacco is so good in Nicaragua is the volcanic soil, the elevation. Well, because of that, all the fruit is just amazing.
So everything grows. It's Garden of Eden.
Pretty
much.
Yeah. It's really good.
Well, I've heard about a lot of guys going down there, and actually one of the guys that I interviewed last week went to Honduras and took a tour over there of Don Julio's factory, and he was telling me about the different soil versus, especially here in West Texas, where it's just dirt.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to go to Nicaragua. I've heard great things. The old owner here at the Leaf, Bill, he went down there to a tour of the Perdomo factory, and he just said, it's so amazing seeing those people actually work the fields, the factory side of it, rolling and aging. And
that's what we try to tell people, here, you're like, oh, this cigar is expensive. Well, when you break it down and you see it, in Nicaragua, the seed is hand planted. There's 400 steps that are all done by hand. If that cigar was made in the United States, it'd probably cost $300 to $400.
That's exactly what Brad told me last week. He was like, after taking the tour, I'll never complain about a price of a cigar again, because it really is. I mean, it takes a lot of passion to get from seed to cigar on the shelf here at the States.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And really, if you think about it, they're pretty cheap.
Yeah, they are.
I mean,
for the amount of work that goes into one cigar.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us about your line of cigars.
So we got 6 different blends that are kind of our core line. We have, I guess, what we call our field line and our garrison line. And so we did that just because we were marketing to strictly military people when we started, and everybody understands garrison is like when you're not in the field, you're back at the base and you're working your normal job, and then the field is like you put your camouflage uniform on, you go out in the field, and so we have a little bit more kind of a camouflage band, if you will, and subdued band, yeah, and the field line is geared. It's a little bit lighter of a blends.
Lighter flavor profiles.
Yeah.
And then the Garrison line's a little bit bolder. We kind of did that on purpose. Guys that are deployed overseas, you don't really want them sitting in a guard shack smoking like a triple Ajero.
Right. It's going to knock you on your ass.
Yeah, getting a nicotine buzz, and he's supposed to be, guarding 1,000 guys.
Right.
So That's why the field line's a little bit, milder. They still have really good flavors. I mean, each blend that we have is, unique. There aren't two that are close or similar to each other.
Okay.
Even though we have two Maduros, our 50 cal Field is a more of a medium body Maduro, and then our 50 cal Garrison's an Oscuro Maduro. But even when you're smoking them, like the flavor profiles between the two are drastically different. Like they're two completely different cigars.
Yeah, that was the first one I had was the Field 50 cal
Yeah.
Maduro, and I was impressed with it. And I smoke a lot of cigars.
Yeah.
And I imagine you guys do too. I mean, do you smoke cigars all day?
I've had a couple.
Yeah, so I was at a shop not long ago doing an interview, and they were like talking about the 3 cigars the guy had smoked the day before, and I was like, 3 cigars? I smoked that by lunch.
Yeah, and then you go to the trade show and you smoke 20 in a day.
Oh, man.
Or you go down to Nicaragua and you blend, and
That's-
your palate's just like, what happened here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that when you're down there in Nicaragua, I mean, you're just smoking one after the next. And,
Yeah.
Pretty much.
and talk about fresh.
Yeah. I think the first 3 days I was down there, I literally had a cigar in my mouth from when I woke up. I walked out of my hotel room and lit a cigar, went to breakfast, smoked the whole time. And then I had just a cigar going the entire day, all the way until like 2 o'clock in the morning. I went to sleep. Yeah, so there's probably 15, 20 cigars.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever hit 15 in a day. I think probably my max has probably been about 11. So
Have you gone to IPCPR?
I have not yet.
So you will that day.
Yep.
That'll be,
Yeah.
well, I'm looking forward to doing that. You guys have been actually in the cigar business now for about how long?
About a little over 3 years.
And your main operation was in Nebraska.
That's correct. We were just outside of Lincoln in a small town called Bennett, and that's because that's where my gun shop was.
Okay.
When we started it, the idea was the cigar company would kind of augment my gun company, and then in 3 years' time, I've now sold my gun company so that I could focus on Warfighter. So
Cool, man.
Yeah.
And so what were you doing before?
Before the guns?
Yes.
I was actually living in Europe.
Oh.
I was working on a military base over there. And before that, I was in Arizona, and I was a mechanic. I wrenched on Harleys and Hondas and
Nice.
all that fun stuff.
So now you've moved down to San Antonio.
yeah, we've moved our headquarters down to San Antonio. Nebraska likes its taxes just a little bit too much.
And I've heard they're going up.
They're trying to go
yeah.
up, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever been to the shop in Omaha called the Safari Cigar Lounge.
Great lounge.
Great lounge. But anyway, I went by there and interviewed the owner there, and he was telling me that they were protesting possible 65% increase.
They're trying to put a 50-cent cap on it.
Yeah, I heard they were trying to do that.
Hopefully the two of them at least cancel each other out or something. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So why did you pick San Antonio?
So San Antonio is it's kind of like the veteran capital of the United States. There's more veterans in San Antonio than per capita than in any other city.
Really?
So it was kind of a toss up between Texas and Florida. Florida's cost of living is a little bit more expensive, just because if we go to Florida, we're going to want to live on the coast.
Absolutely.
That's just the way my bank account's set up. That's not going to happen.
Well, and I was going to say, and I don't want to offend you, but you guys look more like Texas guys than you do
Yeah,
Florida guys.
I was going to say, the other problem with Florida, not to offend people in Florida, but you guys have the Florida Man News, and there's some weird people down there.
Yeah.
But it is like the capital of cigars of America in Florida.
It is.
Yeah, zero
So,
tax on it.
I've met a bunch of great people from Florida, and that's been super impressive. But to live that lifestyle, you guys don't really fit the look of wearing a Speedo on the beach.
Scott would totally wear a Speedo on the beach.
Well, enough Florida Canyon. We'll get there someday.
Right. So how's things going in San Antonio?
Good. We've been there about 2 months. I'm still trying to get my house sold in Nebraska, so I can come down and help John. He's been running everything, so I'll kind of let him speak to that. But
It's going really good. We all the shops that are down there are happy that we're in the area. It's super easy to do events and
Nice.
hang out. The shop itself, it's still kind of a work in progress.
Sure.
We're trying to finalize getting everything built out how we want it, and and set up.
And it's more of our warehouse and fulfillment center, so we do all of our shipping out of there, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's not really
yeah. Well, we planned it out really good. When we were moving stuff, you know, down from Nebraska to Texas, pretty much throughout the month of January, while we were waiting on permits and licensing and all that. So the only thing we couldn't bring down here was the actual cigars.
Well, I was going to say, if you needed a place to store your cigars,
your
I've
house?
got a place.
But no, it's really nice because, like, in our transition from Nebraska to Texas, we were down on the fulfillment side of the company for one day. And that was on a Sunday, and we couldn't do fulfillment anyways because there's no postal services work. So then next morning, Monday morning, you know, we were good to go. Everything was getting shipped, and orders were getting fulfilled. You know, business as usual. So, you know, from the consumer, customer, or you know, brick and mortar standpoint, it was just like, oh, they're in Texas now, but you know, nobody noticed any difference.
Changed,
just,
right?
You know.
So I'm going to assume that the cigar shops in San Antonio are meeting you guys with arms wide open.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as you guys were telling me earlier, you know, Nebraska's got that open arms. Everybody's just real friendly.
Right.
Texas is pretty much the same way.
Yeah.
So when I was up in Nebraska, I was just like, wow, these are friendly people. The one thing I will say, though, is I stayed in Broken Bow, and there's no places to smoke in Broken Bow. And there's an old hotel downtown on the corner that was built in like 1903, and they've completely redone it just like it was originally. And there's this one big room, and it's called the cigar room, but you can't smoke in it.
Oh, that's
And I was like, man, that sucks. But the night I checked into my hotel, I was like, hey, is there a place here I could hang out and drink some coffee and smoke cigars? And the girl was like, oh, we don't smoke in Broken Bow. We like our clean air. And I said, well, I'm from Texas, and we like our personal rights. So I don't know if that went over very well, but, you know, I'm all about my personal rights. I'm an adult.
funny. Yeah.
So what shops are you hanging out in San Antonio?
Mams. Mam's Cigar Shop. It's just outside of Randolph Air Force Base.
Okay.
Veteran owned shop.
Oh, nice.
Really cool clientele that comes in there. You know, like we were talking earlier about, you know, being in a shop and having people, you know, engaged with you while you're in there.
Right.
That's one of those shops where, you know, you walk in there and everybody, you're just going to immediately pretty much have a conversation with everyone that's in that shop.
That's great, man. We talk about the brotherhood, the community all the time, and with cigars, it's like we all have one thing in common. We love cigars.
Yeah.
And you kind of give everyone some respect just because you're in that brotherhood, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know, I was never in the military, so also thank you for your service, but not being in the military, the best brotherhood that I know of is being in the cigar brotherhood. You know what I mean? Because everybody's just open and friendly and taking you in. And so we did a whole episode about that last week.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Another good shop in that we hang out at is Redlands quite a bit. So.
I've heard of that one. In fact, there's a cigar community down in San Antonio that has a San Antonio Cigar Club, and the president of that club invited me down to that shop.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
we'll probably be coming down there, I think, in June.
Outside of those two, we really haven't had time to get out and about yet.
Not really.
As soon
As
as I get down there, we'll take turns going out and
Yeah.
and getting to know everybody. Right now, it's
Yeah.
being shorthanded. So
Yeah.
That's cool. So what do y'all have coming up in the next few months? Y'all doing events? Y'all have any special things going on?
So we got a bunch of events coming up, a bunch of random shops. We try to keep them posted and updated on our social media as much as we can. Just putting out information, dates, times, locations, things like that.
What I was saying earlier before we started the show, you guys do a great job on social media. I didn't know they were experts in the field.
I wouldn't call us
Oh,
expert
well,
by
come on,
any
man.
means.
we're just not terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not terrible. I would say you guys are experts. But anyway, man, if you get a chance, go by and check out their Instagram,
Warfighter Tobacco.
Warfighter Tobacco. You're doing a great job on your Instagram account. So if you want to reach out to them, they're real accessible on their messages. They answer you right back. What about on Facebook or Twitter? Or?
Same thing, Warfighter Tobacco. We don't do a lot of tweeting.
We have a Twitter. Yeah, right? Yeah, we have a Twitter.
I think it just reposts what we post on Instagram, though, or something.
I think one of our other partners, Brian, is he's a little bit more technologically advanced than we were when we set everything up in the beginning.
Okay.
And so he was like, "Oh, we need a Twitter," and Scott's like, "A what?"
Yeah.
Not Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so we have a Twitter. Usually it's just like reposts of whatever we have on Instagram or Facebook, just because we don't understand Twitter yet. Like,
Yeah, I'm on it, but I just post, hey, there's a new show up. You know,
I'm there to read the tweets. So
yeah.
that's mainly what I do. There's a lot of interesting things going on that
Yeah.
I don't keep up with, and I
Right.
get on there and like, holy crap.
yeah.
So, so you guys are doing an event here at the Leaf in Abilene this week. You got anything going on next week?
I think next week is. I don't think so. I know on the 25th we have a North Texas Cigar Society. We're going to be involved with that, and then
Cats Fest is coming up.
the 26th we have.
Where's that at?
It's just outside Dallas Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember the name. It's a smaller town. I think that's Memorial Day weekend, right?
Yeah. It's like a 3-day thing.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
The 26th of this month we have an event at Redlands.
Okay.
In San Antonio.
Now I heard that's a really big shop.
They they got a really nice like open. Well, I wouldn't really say open. There's a roof and walls and stuff, but it's
Open size room.
yeah, open size room, and it's really big. It's just one, like, they have their humidor you can walk in, and they have their members lounge area. You go through the back door, and it's just this big open,
Kind of like a warehouse.
Yeah, kind of warehouse-ish, but they have really, they got
Foosball,
shuffleboard
nice food,
and all kinds of cool stuff in there.
Yeah, the president of the San Antonio Club was telling me, I think he said the lounge area was like 2,500 square
Yeah,
feet, which
yep.
is huge.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, we swung up there last night just to stop in and say hi, and we happened to go in there the night they were doing a crawfish boil.
Yeah.
oh, nice.
So we walk in, they have a table with just mounds of.
Like, here, eat. All right, I will.
You eat crawfish?
Yeah.
I didn't know if people from Nebraska ate crawfish.
They might not, but I do. I'm kind of a fat guy.
He likes to live dangerously sometimes.
Now, where are you from, John?
Originally, I'm from Boston.
Okay.
But I've lived all over the
You
place.
didn't live there too long, did you?
I did. I lived there until I was about 17. And
We don't hear that accent.
No, I did everything in my power I could to get rid of it. I lived there until I was about 17. I joined the military right after graduating high school when I was 18. Moved around with that, got out, moved around afterwards. I went back to Boston actually 2007 to 2010. Because when you're younger, everything's fun.
Right.
So when I got older, I'm like, oh, Boston was amazing. I'm going to move back there. And after about the third winter, I'm like, get me out of this state. I'm all done.
Right. Now you're in Texas. You won't get snow down there hardly ever.
Yeah, I'm happy
So,
about
yeah.
that. Everyone's like, oh, just wait till the summer. I'm like, I can't wait. Like, no, it's miserable. I'm like, nope. Go spend a winter in Nebraska.
Right.
Tell me how miserable your summer is.
So what I was going to ask you is, did you smoke cigars back when you were in Boston?
The second time. The
Okay.
first time I was underage, so no. But I
Yeah,
did.
because I know you wouldn't break the law.
did.
Right.
But no, that's actually how I got started into smoking cigars. I was about 14 years old, and then my buddy, a good friend of mine, same age, his older brother, I think he was 19. He had a Buick Grand National, which at the time was like the most amazing car I've ever seen in my entire life. And so he was like the coolest person in the entire world to me.
Like at 1986.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he smoked cigars. And so we used to like scrounge up our quarters, and he'd go on. They probably were like whatever single dollar cigars he could get, but he'd get cigars for us, and we'd go hang out and smoke cigars. And that's like how I started smoking, just because this guy had a Grand National and he was the coolest kid in the world.
Oh, absolutely,
And
man.
but then cigars just stuck with me. And then once you get in the military, and it's kind of second nature with the jobs that we had. So
And is that where you started in the military, or did you
Yeah.
smoke cigars before that?
No, I probably smoked cigarettes before that, but no, the military, I quit smoking cigarettes when I got in the military, which
I
is
was
weird.
gonna say, I never knew that you smoked cigarettes.
Yeah, and then yeah, in the military, I started smoking cigars, and not a lot. It wasn't something I really took to until probably after I got out of the military.
Yeah, I smoked cigars probably for about 2 or 3 years, just random,
Yeah.
not anything where I really got it. But then once the light comes on,
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
now I got to have a cigar all the time.
Yeah,
So that's cool. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you guys joining the show, and I know that you guys are going to do great things with the Cigar for Warriors. Man, I have a link on my webpage for that as well, and I will put a link on our webpage that connects to you guys' website. And so if you guys ever need anything from us, feel free to reach out, man. We'll be here for you.
Nice.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks for joining the show. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having us on.
Hey, man, we really appreciate John Scott stopping by and doing an interview with us. We do love their cigars, and I'm just thrilled to find out that Blanco blends for them as well. So anyway, let's talk about what's coming up next week. We do have Terrence Riley on the show. He is the vice president of the Aganorsa Leaf, which is the smoke we just happen to be smoking tonight.
Absolutely.
Shows how much I love their cigars. Then let's talk about my regular soapbox that I talk about every week, and it is join Cigar Rights of America. If you haven't done it yet, it's $25. They send you 2 cigars, and now you have a voice speaking on your behalf as a cigar smoker, part of the community, when it comes to the politicians that do not have our best interest. And Paul, you're a member, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it takes like 5 minutes to sign up, send them in $25, and you get cigars. So, I mean, shoot, man, I got 2 Edge cigars. That's probably worth about $15.
Yeah.
So, I mean, basically 10 extra bucks for someone to be speaking up for you. And then let's talk about the legislation again. They're talking about raising the age to be able to use tobacco to 21. We talked about that last week. I'm completely against it. But I also heard that they're wanting to make an amendment to it that if you serve, you can smoke cigars.
Well,
Now,
well, I served, so I guess I can
right,
smoke,
but you
right?
know what's crazy about that? Either you're an adult or you're not.
Well, and that's the crazy thing about it. I mean, where do we set the line for adult?
Right.
Is it 18? Is it 21?
And then at the same time, the same people proposing these want to make it allowed for you to vote at the age of 16.
Well, they want you to be allowed to vote if you're in prison.
Right. Anyway, that's a whole nother.
Oh, man, we won't even go there.
We're not going to go there. But anyway, also this week, Select Draw Cutters has provided us a couple of cutters, so we're going to be giving those away again this week. If you haven't seen those, go by my Instagram. They're great cutters. I love them. I think they're a really cool piece. It looks like a bishop or something for a chess piece. It's really nice looking. Anyway, and we're going to change up. We're not going to do Cigar Talk trivia anymore. So all you guys that were enjoying that, sorry we're taking it away. We're going to do a new contest. And the way it's going to work is you take a picture of yourself smoking a cigar and then use the hashtag LightEmUpCrew. Hashtag LightEmUpCrew. So it's LITEEMUP crew. So anyway, what we're going to do on that is the 6 most popular pictures on that hashtag for the week, we'll take those 6, put them in a drawing, and 2 of those people will win Select Draw Cutters. And so we want to say thank you again to Select Draw Cutters for being gracious enough to send those to us. And then the last thing we want to talk about is the Spoonie Network has invited us to be a part of their network. And if you guys haven't heard of them, you can go just Google them, the Spoonie Radio, and you'll find out what they're about. Up until now, they've been doing like foods and cooking and different things like that, like a foodie. They've wanted to add some content to their network, their radio programming, and they've actually asked us to join so that they can now have a cigar show. So we're
That's
thrilled.
Gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and it's not just on their network, it's also part of iHeartRadio. So we'll be, reaching a few more people, which is going to be cool. And so we're looking forward to that. We're thankful for that opportunity. Just want to say thank you to Paul. Thank you for being here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rob. And if anybody wants to check out my Instagram account, I promise I'm going to get back on there after my little vacation. But that's 5150 Cigar Tour. I'm going around the shops. I'm trying to hit 51 shops in Texas this year. Next year's the big one.
Right.
I'm going nationwide.
You better start working out.
I know. I know. I need to sober up so I can drive.
Anyway, man, it's been a great show. I appreciate you so much for filling in tonight, and I'm sure we're going to have you back on. It's always a treat to have you.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
thanks for having me.
Oh, man, we love it when you come hang out with us and smoke and now have the bourbon. Anyway, you guys have a great week, and we will see you next week. Until next time, stay smoky, my friends.